When you can finally realize that nothing anyone does is about you. They're a director of their own movie, you're a director of your movie, and we all got different roles. And sometimes the roles don't match.
Roll me, Mac.
Do you believe you live more in your head or in your body? Without a doubt, I definitely live in my head a lot more. I believe it's due to the lack of reassurance that I would probably say I've received throughout my life. You know what I'm saying? That's not like being a victim or anything like that, but truth be told, like not being assured that am I doing this right? I'm trying to do this right. You know, just trying to make sure that you're doing things the right way. Constantly left in self-doubt and wondering if you're if you're doing things like properly so that you can receive love. Honestly, it's really what it boils down to. And that constantly questioning whether or not you are worthy of love and living in your head, wanting to do all the things the right way, making sure that you take care of everybody else's needs but your own. And you just sit and live in your head like, what if I did I do this thing right? You know, am I doing this okay? Is this person satisfied? Is that person satisfied? Is everybody else satisfied but my black ass? You know, and when you live like that for so long, that becomes the way until you decide to change it and become aware of it, of course. But for a lot of us, that becomes the default mechanism. Am I living in my head or am I living in my body? The present moment, rather. And most of us live in the future, or we live in the past, or a combination, a hybrid of both. And when we do that, we're not able to just experience the joys of just being in the present moment. I mean, you can think about all the goals that we've accomplished in life for those of us who really are just that have set goals and obtained them. But for whatever reason, it's not enough. There has to be a next one, and there's got to be a next one, and there's got to be a next one. And then to have someone project their pain onto you and you actually listen to them, and then you believe, oh, yeah, see, I'm not enough. But don't lose sight of the shit that you have done. You know what I'm saying? Like becoming the person that you are today, overcoming a lot of things that you overcame in the past, how you separated yourself from the pack and, made your own mark in this world. Not necessarily doing the same, hamster wheel stuff that everybody else was doing, and then finding a name for yourself and realizing that it actually worked for you when you decided to go on your own path. Instead of trying to do what everybody else was doing, trying to fit in and working on belonging to something by creating your own way, and even making a way for others to become themselves. Like, let's not lose sight of our accomplishments. But yes, living inside your head, it'll do that. When you live inside your head, you question whether or not this is good enough. Am I good enough? Imposter syndrome. I don't deserve this position that I'm in. I don't deserve these accolades. Why are people trying to talk to me about this? Why do you want this? Why are these people envious of this right here? What did I do? I didn't ask for that. I was just being me. And I'm sure a lot of us have had those situations. You do your best to help as much as you can, to the point where you're stretched so thin. And we say all the time, that nobody saves superheroes. So when you decide that you're going to be the superhero and you wonder why nobody else is there, well, that's why the superhero became a superhero, because nobody was there. So that, they became the change they wanted to see. But don't expect people to be a superhero like you. Truth be told, there are a lot of anti-heroes and there's certainly a lot of villains in our society around us. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because they say you're your friend, just because they claim to be family, just because they work with you, doesn't necessarily mean they have the best interest for you. A lot of us have our own agendas for why we have people in our lives, why we have people around us. And a lot of us are in pain. Sometimes that pain gets projected and you become an innocent bystander to a person sleepwalking in their pain, and you might catch a stray, but it was never about you. But when you live in your head and somebody projects that pain onto you, sometimes you take that shit personally and you think, what is wrong with me? What did I do wrong? And it was never about you. It never is. And that's the beauty of learning to live in the present moment, when you can finally realize that nothing anyone does is about you. They're a director of their own movie. You're a director of your movie. We all got different roles. Sometimes the roles don't match the script, as far as, all right, well, I thought that was my friend. Nope, that was your villain. That was their role. Surprise, nigga. You found out. It's like a WWE plot, like with somebody turning heel. You think that they're your friend, and then, you realize that they had their own selfish agenda, and it was time to reveal who they were to you the whole time. And it happens. It happens. You thought that cousin or auntie or uncle was like gonna, hold you down. And then you get in situations where they show that they still have a lot to work to do on themselves. And you're no different than them. We can point out their flaws, but don't forget to point out yours. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reality of just recognizing that we're human, man. Truly, we're just human. We can sit there and we can be upset at family forever. We could. And it might be justified for a lot of shit. But end of the day, we're all human. That's it. There's no more to it. Wish them positive and healing energy. Stay the fuck away from them. Avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. And just maintain your healthy boundaries for yourself. And sometimes that means you may be alone. Sometimes healthy is alone. And sometimes alone is healthy. But it's better that than to be around someone that constantly uses you as a punching bag and believes that they're going to just milk you for your service. Because a lot of people don't think like you. You believe in just being there for others because you think that's the right thing to do. No, there's no right or wrong. It's merely just perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, the homeless man is never going to stop taking your money. He's not. He'll continue to take your money if you give it to him. But if you have boundaries, you keep coming to the light, you see the homeless man, he's going to use shame. He might use guilt sometimes in appearance and just making you feel sorry for them. And if you're not strong enough mentally, you're going to give the money every time. That's what the fuck we do in our lives. We get people, they're not homeless, but as far as the haves and the have-nots, they believe that they don't have as much as you do. So they have no problem taking more of what you have. And when you can see that for yourself, You have to recognize how valuable you are too. They're just as valuable. Yes, they can use your money. They really could probably could use your services of things. But you keep giving them fish, they'll keep coming back for fish, or you can teach them how to fish. As far as the people in your life, I mean, if you want to teach the homeless how to fish, take your time to do so. Keep a bottle of Febreze though, because some sense, it might get real sometimes. But what I am saying is for us to have healthy boundaries with ourselves. And living inside your head, when you feel like you're not enough, you'll go out of your way to do many things for people that probably don't even value you or appreciate it. And you know, truth be told, they very well may not even ever apologize for the things that they've done. And you have to live with the fact that what caused someone that may have had played a part, as well as you, in your pain, they may not ever apologize for it. And you have to be okay with that. And it's just the way it is. You know, the person that broke into your house, stole something out, you may not ever see them again. You're gonna hold that over them? No. You're gonna be left with the pain. You know what I'm saying? And that's what life, I believe, has kind of taught me. But it's also brought about a sense of trauma. So living inside my head, constantly trying to protect myself. Is this person really down for me? Are they using me to a point where they're going to, you know, turn heel on me? You never know. But living in the present moment and coming from a place of love, it simply changes things. And asking, are you living in love? Or are you living in fear? And majority of the time in my head, it's fear. Fear is running, you know, that's little Rome. You know, my wounded inner child is afraid of trusting others, you know, afraid of trusting somebody to be there, afraid of trusting someone when I am in dire need of something, that I can go to them without judgment. You know what I'm saying? Them not look at me any differently, them not lose respect for me as a leader for going to them. And it's tough, you know, and it's essentially just part of life. And there's risk in that. So you have to be very mindful as far as who you trust that your vulnerable self with. You know what I'm saying? But living inside your head comes with so many non-beneficial ways of looking at life. Beauty of having that safety, of you having like a support system, of you having someone that is going to like hold you down, whether that's a group of friends you've known since college, a group of friends you've known since childhood, a group of friends you've known since the military, people at work, whatever it is. When you come across some solid folk and they show that they're solid, they do not judge you. And then you might have the group that they might clown with you, they might laugh with you, they're not laughing at you, but still show up and be there for you. Like it's just, if you're fortunate enough to come across a group like that, you know, you're very blessed. And sometimes those people are the ones that hold you accountable while you're still living in your head. And it comes time for where you have to get out of your fucking head. And there are days where I'm solely stuck in my head, just as I'm sure anybody else is. And remembering to consider what the Buddhist monks teach each other is that your thoughts are clouds, right? They're passing over. You know, they're ships in the night, whatever you want to call it. Don't absorb your thoughts. Observe them. And sometimes we forget that. We get our trauma, again, our wounded inner child likes to drive the fucking car and believe that they're a failure, they're a victim. Everything that was negatively said to them at some point in time from someone, but we would never say to ourselves. You would never talk to yourself the way you talk to like someone that you actually care about. So what does that mean? You're programmed to not care about yourself. So it's like changing the narrative of how you speak to yourself. And some of us forget that shit, especially us men too. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can hold up a tough exterior all we want, but yeah, a lot of things that we do, we act out of pain and a sense of believing we're failures. and then this pain begets pain, and you project it on, and you bleed on people that didn't cut you. So being very mindful, practicing mindfulness on a day-to-day basis as a man, and of course as women too, but like as a man, practicing mindfulness so that you can remain in the present moment versus being stuck in your head for whatever reason. But I definitely live in my head more than I live in the present moment. When I am in the present moment, you don't feel anything. It's like music, what Bob Marley said, once it hits you, you feel no pain. And you just enjoy yourself. You're childlike. When you're in your present moment, you're childlike, and you're free. And there's no one's tearing you down. You don't feel the need to tear anybody else down. You're just being. So it's like learning to get out of your fucking head, be in the present moment, and let go. Really, let go. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of success? Opportunities. Honestly, that I truly believe why I am working towards what I'm working towards is having the opportunities to never be scarce of something, especially from a monetary standpoint, because a lot of moments require funding. Don't get me wrong, some of the best moments of my life, I didn't have a fucking dime to my name. My father might have had to use some dimes, but for me, it was never, the people that I enjoyed time with, it was free. My grandma had to pay the electric bill for me and my cousins playing video games all night. But as far as needing a gang of money just to enjoy myself, no. But to be in a position to where no one has to want for anything. Therefore, we can spend more money on our emotional intelligence, our mental health, and just heal from a lot of the shit that we endured growing up. All of us. You know what I'm saying? Like those that I value and those that are actually serious about that shit, that want to better themselves, I will be in a position to where I can help them if need be. You know what I mean? But that's what I think about when it comes to success and trying to find what I believe to be success for myself. I mean, I would say that I've become a success, a success of some sort already, and I'm very grateful for it. But there are goals and there are aspirations in which I would like to take my lifestyle to something else, and not so much saying that I'm going to be happy when I find that. It's not about happiness for me. For me, it's really just about being in a position to where I can, one, assist myself, and two, assist those that I value. I mean, happiness is like, it's a state of mind. It becomes, what's in the way becomes the way type thing. And it's just having the choice, choosing to be at peace. I don't necessarily need to be happy, but I can be at peace, man. Happy, you know what happiness is? Happiness comes in short stints for me. When the first time you open that box of stuffed crust pizza, the first time that hot plate of seafood Alfredo at Olive Garden hits that table, when I used to come downstairs and see that cheeseburger macaroni boiling when my father would make it on that stove. These things that my aunt used to make that were like ham and cheese croissants or some shit back when we used to live in Cuba. Yeah, my Aunt Denise. Love you, Aunt Denise. But she swears up and down it was just ham and cheese on a biscuit. I don't know. For whatever reason, I remember that shit being awesome, but that used to be joy to me. The first time hearing a certain song, right? And connecting with it. That, like, that to me is like happiness. Like, it comes in short stints. I don't see it as an extended thing. But to have people around you that just don't cause chaos, that's peace to me. I won't necessarily say I need to be I'm not happy, You know, they're not responsible for my happiness. My happiness is all about how I think about a situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and this other person can go through the same situation. One of us feels sad, the other one feels happy. The same shit happened. What happened? One of us was programmed to think sad, the other one was programmed to think happiness. So, why are you choosing to be sad? Why are you choosing to be happy? We all have our reasons for doing it. It's just about making the fucking decision to be whatever that is. No one's responsible for how you feel. They're not. Not anymore. We're not kids. We're not babies. And even then, we have to teach our children that no one's responsible for how they feel about shit. The world does not revolve around you in the long scheme of things. And some of us adults need to learn that shit too. Honestly, like when our wounded inner child comes the fuck out, sometimes we think that the world needs to stop and tend to us. And no, you gotta be a grown up and deal with your shit, man. And everything's not about you. But trauma, you know, it just follows. The Body Keeps Score, which is a great read, by the way. Check that out on Amazon. The Body Keeps Score. For me, having success is putting my people, my tribe, in a position to where we can do things and just enjoy ourselves. That essentially you find happiness. Like the joy you get of being with people that you've gone through the trenches with and came out on the other side. You know, like I lived in a city filled with a lot of things you can get in trouble with as an adult. You know, like living in Miami. And of all the things I've done, I have never had more joy in my life than just having a healthy conversation with my best friend and, you know, our family. And really, that's it. I promise you. Patio talks with those that you love. Sitting outside, you know how everybody about to leave. So for whatever reason, you go to dinner or some shit like that, you about to leave and everybody want to have like an interesting conversation. You're like, damn, you don't want to leave, but like, all right, nigga, air up. You know, it's one of those things. But I really just find that joy in that. And that's that conversation, being able to see that person, being able to hear that voice. I mean, a lot of us would love to hear a certain person's voice once again that's no longer with us. Whether that's a breakup, whether that is death, whether that is, you know, prison, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Or just people leaving in general. But like to have that, to be able to have that person's voice one more time, it would mean everything. But that's what the beauty of the present moment is, because you just never know when someone, when you're not going to see that person again. And recognizing how much we don't own things. We don't own people. We don't own, because if it was up to us, a lot of people would never leave us. But people have different agendas, you know, and the universe will show you that time and time again. That's, you know, that's how God works when he does things, and it's just about accepting that. But everything happens for you. Nothing happens to you. It happens for you. I believe that. I firmly do believe that. I've lived that in many ways. But to have success, right? Being able to pull all those people together and us just living peacefully, right? Like living at peace, calm, not having to work for shit. I think a lot of our issues between man and woman, man and man, whatever your situation is, a lot of times finances become the issue. Not being able to do certain things that you may want to do, but yes, to make it to a point of success to where I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. Not mean I'm going to do everything I want to do, but the ability to do so. Like the opportunities to just show up for those that you value. Yes, does that come with envy? Will that come with jealousy or whatever you want to call it? Sure. But to quote Jeezy, the way I see it, more problems, more money. And now, yes, I know Biggie said the shit too, but he reversed it. He was like, it said there's more money, more problems. And Jesus said, the way I see it, more problems, more money. So I'll take bigger problems. You know what I'm saying? If it means to be in a position to where I can truly help myself financially. And again, it's not about happiness, right? It's not about once I get this house, then I'll be happy. No, I'm choosing to be happy right now with the shit that I have. And if I don't appreciate the shit that I have, I'm gonna get more shit from God and the universe. That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's just showing gratitude. Gratitude to be there. But when I think of success, I think of opportunity. Opportunities to do more things with my life. Not having to work weekends, not having to work at all, but being able to do the things that I want to do with the people that I value. What job taught you the most about life? My first job, McDonald's. Looking back, I worked at McDonald's on Western Branch Boulevard in Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Churchland, whatever you want to call it, the Churchland McDonald's. And when I first got there, obviously I didn't know what the fuck to do. I wasn't used to, the most chores I did was taking out the trash and washing dishes. So, still just lazy overall, just an overall lazy person. When I first got there, I didn't get many hours. Hell, I would work sometime for 2 hours. One time I worked for a damn hour. Came pick up a check. That check was $10. But once I started to understand how working operated being there, I was able to see things. I'm looking back now at the age range that we had. And I was 16, and there were people there as old as 50. No, old as 70 working there. And I got to see different parts of life. Like looking back, I wasn't able to see it then, but like looking back at my life now, there were people there that made a lot of choices that they believed that this was the best for them. And it pays, you know what I'm saying? But the lifestyle that comes with it isn't this. I realized that wasn't really what I wanted. I wanted to be able to get compensated. I wanted to be compensated more than my actual work ethic was, if that makes sense. Like a lot of times, like McDonald's is such a simple job, and I had it down. I worked in the grill, so whatever you wanted, I was whipping that bitch up for you. But I did not get paid. I don't believe I got paid as much as the work I'd done. And I think about a lot of individuals based on choices and things that they've decided to do and not do. That becomes the way that becomes the way. And it's no knock on anybody that's working fast food, regardless of your age, but understanding the differences of what you wanted in life. And I realized that I was going to have to do something differently. And, like I said, looking back at it, I'm glad that my mother had enough sense and love for me to get me to join the military, get out of 757 and do something with my life. So, and I would say combined effort. My dad told me to go to the Air Force versus the Navy because we were a Navy family. My mother just said go to the military, Air Force as well. So doing that put me in a position to where I did not have these types of struggles. I wouldn't have to have these certain types of struggles, and truly just very grateful for that. So like that job taught me so much because it taught me I like the access to nuggets while working on shift, but it taught me that I did not want this to be it for me. To work this hard to get paid this less as, in the job, but being appreciative that you get paid, you know what I'm saying? Like you put in some work and you get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? And figuring out what your hours are going to be, trying to get more hours, and then having people call upon you because they need people. And you know what I'm saying? Like after a while, you start to get major checks for your age group. You know what I'm saying? Like going from having a $10 check to then having close to 200 to 300, 500 type stuff. You know what I'm saying? And just growing again, becoming a young man. But yeah, my first job taught me a lot about what I wanted and what I didn't want, and I'll forever be grateful for the Golden Arches. What is the difference between living and existing? Okay. What I believe is the difference between living and existing, I'll use my life for example. Right. When I joined the military, I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do with my life. I knew I had to do something, right? Because I had no plan. Not one whatsoever. Scared out of my fucking mind. And another level of fear would come like a year and a half later when I would learn that, I have a child. And I'm a child myself. I'm a baby. But I did what a lot of people do. And I'll say this for men. When you get to a certain point in your life where there's people in your life, there's women in your life, and of course children in your life, now you start to operate on routine, right? Which is one of the worst things you could probably do in a relationship. But you get into this routine, and it's a survival routine. So what that means is I go to work. If I care about the gym, I'm going to the gym. When I come home from the gym, I watch the same shows. I make sure that the family gets whatever, like they need. In my situation, being far away, okay, what does the baby need for this? You know what I'm saying? Like how much is this? Or like, little brother, yo, what you got going on in high school? Okay, you need support with this band shit. Okay, here you go. You can have this stuff. And then birthdays coming around, you're not able to be there, so you just get all these extravagant gifts and you're sending this shit out. Meanwhile, all you're doing is working your life away. And once I got out of the Air Force, that's what it became. I started working contracting down in Miami, and same routine, I would go out and shit like that, but for the most part, go to work, routine TV shows, have the same routine conversations at the job, and then occasionally come birthday times, trying to do something, making sure whoever, whether it's your mom, Mother's Day, trying to send out shit, the biggest extravagant gifts, which was more about you than it was about her, and then you just get in this routine of trying to exist. You're not really living. You're running on a system. And you don't realize you're even in this system, this whole routine of a mind, until you try to have conversations with certain people in your life that you value, right? And then you talk with them and they just think you're a robot. Honestly, it's just like the military programmed a lot of us to just do. Fuck the thinking, just do. So there was a lot of existing. Don't get me wrong, there's a few moments throughout my military career where I got to laugh with some of the funniest and dopest personalities that I was gracious enough to meet in my life. You know what I'm saying? But everything was, all right, you got to do this, you got to do that. All right, deployment's coming up, we got to do this, we got to do that. There's no time for fucking thinking. You just have to act. You have to make sure that you get this thing done. And you don't realize why you're doing shit. Like then working in Miami as a contractor, down at Homestead, it was the same thing. We did the same thing every day. You knew that person was going to have their coffee mug right there on that desk in that very same spot. You knew that they were going to be pissed about this political conversation. You knew what they were going to have for lunch because they eat the same shit every fucking day. And that was life. And it makes you calm. It calms your nervous system because you're starting to see the same shit, but you're not living. And that I really learned that I wasn't living when COVID hit. Like COVID made you sit and just think about shit, especially when you have it. So having COVID and knowing that this is killing people, this is an epidemic, scamdemic, whatever you want to call it, whatever nickname you have it. Point is, it happened. A lot of us had it, and some of us did not come back from it. And definitely sending positive and healing energy to anyone who lost somebody from going through COVID. So rest in peace to them. But like to sit there contemplate on whether or not you're close with your family. You're not, or you are close with your kid, close with friends you've known even from the military, and just realize you've been in such a routine that you weren't living. You knew to do things, you knew to be there for everybody else, but you weren't there for yourself. And I truly believe for me, that was the difference in living and existing, because existing, I was operated to be there for everybody else, right? I didn't necessarily live for me, which left me in a state of depression. And I was functional. I was a functional addict to porn, and a functional addict in many, like I said, in many other ways to different vices. But I just wanted to do whatever I had to do to make sure that those that, like I love, they had what they needed. Make sure I did whatever at my job, but I didn't take care of me up here. And it didn't start to where I moved here to Jacksonville, and I started to really zero in on me and learn how to be there for me, learning to set healthy boundaries, going through the nerves, recognizing when I was people pleasing. And I really just started to, I don't say live, I did what I wanted to do. And it's an amazing feeling when you can do that, and be in that position to where you do what you want to do. And then you have people come in your life that try to, to take you out of that, because they can see the joy that you have in it, And you have to be able to set healthy boundaries with them. They don't mean any harm by it. In that situation, they're running off of the same old programming that they felt have served them for some time. But to be able to set boundaries, to get people to adapt to you, and maybe even look at themselves and ask if they even have healthy boundaries for themselves, because a lot of us don't. But the joys of living, man, is really doing what you want to do, saying no when you want to say no, and having your finances together is another thing of living. Because when you live in check to check, you're definitely living close to like existing, and you just try to make sure that everybody has what they have, and it's kind of spreading pretty thin. But to get your finances under control, to learn how to budget, to watch, as far as watch your groceries, finding a boring meal like I do, which is healthy. Finding a boring meal that's healthy, and not spending on fast food maybe every day at work, because it adds up. We used to do it all the time at Homestead. I'm like, shit, man. I'm not buying groceries this round, because Monday, Wendy's, Tuesday's Taco Bell, Thursday's Publix, Friday is Shanghai, Chinese spot in the Homestead, man. Shout out to them too. But they served us many meals that we would go and get when we were working. We would go pick up the Shanghai, get that General Toso, and house fried rice and a spare rib, and that shit used to hit. But to finally take control of the reins, right? Take control of the reins and doing exactly what you want to do, regardless of how it makes anybody else feel. That to me is living, having the courage to do what you want to do, as long as it doesn't harm anybody, you know what I'm saying? And it took some time, because I believe I was programmed to be a people pleaser and look after everybody but myself. I wasn't taught to look after me. I was taught to look after others. And you can get in a routine and just realize that you're existing. And then you ask, where does time go? You look up and like, damn, man, my kid is about to be 21, or, my son's turning 25, or, like my godson he's about to graduate from high school, and you're like, where does time go? Yeah, chances are we were just existing. But to sit and recognize what we're doing, being intentional about what we're doing, I believe we can find ways to live. And again, just pulling yourself back, taking a step back sometime and just seeing that we are not in the present moment. We are running on routine. And sometimes things happen that make you stop and make you question where you're living or where you're existing. I know this year it was an ascension of someone in the family that really allowed me to kind of question a lot of things about myself and how I was, how I was moving. So I, again, was almost getting caught up in another state of existing. But God and the universe has a way of, sending you signs to get your shit together. But yeah, the difference between living and existing, I believe existing runs on a program and you're not in control. I believe living is about being in control, or really letting go of control, rather. I think existing is just running off something else is controlling how you move, allowing them to control you. And I believe living is learning to just let go of control, period. Letting go of control of others, but being very mindful with how you move, and just the choices, being able to live in the present moment, to enjoy, like allowing yourself to enjoy yourself, to accept joy, to accept happiness, not anticipating pending doom, the rug being pulled from under you. I believe that falls in the lines of existing, because it's fear, it's protection, trying to protect yourself from pain protection. You tend to take less risk, but it's again, trauma filled, and everything. I believe those things all fall in the lines of existing. Fear, the abandonment, not taking many risks, playing it safe. But living is like, okay, we're just gonna do it. We've never seen it done before, and we're just gonna see what happens on the other side. And just choosing to do it because you can. And that's the beauty. You can. Find out how tall your tree can grow in this life. Trees grow as tall as they possibly can, as Jim Rome says all the time. So find out how tall you can grow. I believe that's the difference in living and existing, when you want to learn how tall your tree can grow. What are things that you like? Are you doing things simply because you want to belong to this group? Do you have a difference of opinion because of what this person says? Do you have to have the same thoughts and agreements just because you're a part of this political party? Do you, because you're, on this team, do you have to not like this team? Find out how tall your tree can grow. Be an individual and allow people to belong. Don't worry about fitting in. Yeah. That's what I believe is the difference between living and existing. All right. Well, that concludes this one. I'm out. Good night, kids. What is it about music that connects you to it? It's the feeling. No other way to put it. And I think we all feel music differently. But I do remember the first time hearing funk, right? And when I heard it, I felt something. And there's a certain feeling you get when you listen to a funk record. The first time hearing the likes of Earth, Wind and Fire, Isley Brothers, Ohio Players, the Barcades, these are the people that babysat me in the house, a lot of times, because that's what was played. My father has an extensive mind when it comes to music, especially R&B, soul, and even some pop record stuff. But funk was definitely heard the most in the house, thus becoming a son of funk. And there's a certain connection that myself and my brother just have, one to our father because of music, but even just music itself. And I was fortunate enough to connect with the likes of Michael, early on. I mean, I think most of us kids did, were connected to Michael. like Bad. I was born 85, so this is right within, like, right before the Bad era even starts. But then learning about, you know, Beat It, Michael Jackson Moonwalker tape comes out. I watched that shit faithfully, and I just feel I wanted to be him, grabbing your crotch, humping floors and shit. And I wanted to be Michael. I wanted to be on, you know, be on stage and just sing my fucking heart out and just have that moment. It was just so much joy that he had in dancing. But then I would learn different genres of music that I would connect to. I certainly connected to R&B. Rap came very much later on from a validational standpoint, and it was more about just fitting in with the kids in my neighborhood. When I moved to Suffolk, when we moved to Suffolk in '95, that's when I was trying to make sure I knew all the, you know, the hip hop records like that. Before my family, you know, it was just mainly R&B. Like my biggest musical influences, my father, my Aunt Christy, and my cousin Richard. I would say they were my three biggest musical influences, because I just thought they were the coolest people ever when it came, like, to music for what it made them do. And my aunt was very much into, like, New Jack Swing, so like the Heavy D, Heavy D, Levert, Jodeci, Mary J. Blige. Like, that was those were her folks. You know what I'm saying? And then my cousin, Rick put me on a little bit to like certain hip hop, but mainly like the Boyz II Men, the, you know, Art of Theory. I mean, Voices of Theory, the To the Extreme, a lot of R&B acts that were out at the time. That's what I heard when I would come to my grandma's house. I mean, that's really what I used to look forward to. There'd be video games, and I know there's going to be a new song to learn so that I can be seen, heard, loved, you know what I mean? But that connection to it, and now it's associated with a moment, right? I'm sure there's songs that we all have that we're not able to listen to because those people are no longer here, or something traumatic happened. And again, it's because I believe it's the power of music, and what it definitely controls how you feel. For a long time after a breakup that I had in the Air Force, I could not listen to the Graduation album. I could not listen to 808s and Heartbreaks. I couldn't listen to Amy Winehouse's Back to Black album, because of the individual I was those individuals I was dealing with at the time. And so it was tough, but like that connection to music, the feeling that you get, really, it's just a feeling. There's no other way to put it, but there's a strong feeling when you get connected to music. Lately, I have I've really taken a loving rather, to like chant music, bossa nova, and certainly like spa type music, you know, everything that calms the mind. Like, there's always going to be that love for funk. Funk is that, nothing can replace funk for me, you know, but like having that easy listening type vibe is something that I've taken a liking to, and that I've definitely connected with in the past few years. And it's been awesome. It's just like learning something new. And that's the beauty of music. There's so much music out there that you can learn something from. Who knows what the next genre will be. But I mean, I'm very grateful for funk. You know, I think that's where I had my first connection to music, was definitely funk at a very young age. And of course, the likes of R&B, hip hop, some rock. Definitely was into pop. Like, I wanted to be a pop star. I definitely wanted to be a pop star at one point in time. Boy band bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Fanfare, what have you. But, that was a phase. You know, you're fucking 12, 11, 13 and stuff like that. And, you know, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet, O-Town, 98 Degrees, all these bands, you know, these pop bands are out there, you know, and you want to be a part of it. And of course, my original group that I wanted to be, a New Edition, is where it all started for me. But You say you just love music. Those of us that are really music kids, you just get it. You know, you just understand it, and it's just a feeling you get. But yeah, I truly believe that's my connection through music. It changes how you feel. It alters the way you look at things, and you just feel it.